intro, and I'm handing it over to Vidhisha to begin.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's session, which is In Conversation with Anshuma Kshetrapal. She is the course director, the co-course director, along with Preetha Ramasubramaniam, who is running the DMT course, the Dance Movement Therapy PG Diploma that you all are here for today. The DMT course, it's a one-year PG diploma that is run in association with St. Mira's College, which is a university in Pune, along with Artsphere, which is also a studio space based in Pune, and the Arts Therapists CoLab, which is founded by Anshuma and Preetha. Artsphere is a space in Pune that was founded by two sisters who are both psychologists as well as performing artists. And so they created a space for the same to provide a space wherein you can do performing arts as well as therapeutic practices. And they've been supporting the dance movement therapy course since the past 6 years. The Arts Therapists CoLab was founded by Anshuma and Preetha as a venture to promote mental health and well-being through the arts and the use of creative arts in therapy spaces. And and bring art therapists across India, across the country together to be working together for mental health in India. And Anshuma herself, she has done her MA in drama and movement therapy, as well as in psychosocial clinical studies. And she also has her own organization called the Color of Grey Cells, and is also the vice president of the Indian Association of Dance Movement Therapy, which is IDMT. And she's here with us today to answer all your questions. So please feel free to ask whatever that you have in mind. And give it up for Anshuma.
Hi, I never know where to look when these things are happening, but I guess it's important for you to know that someone somewhat credible is sitting with you to answer those questions, because the field of arts therapies in general, seems to not have a lot of that credibility in that regard of qualification. So I'm actually quite proud of everyone who's collected here today, because it just shows the kind of growing interest in getting attached to credible courses in the country, and doing this the right way, and taking the field of arts therapy seriously. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. It gives me hope to see, and not the faces, but see the number of people who've turned up in such a short notice, just because they're interested in the course. So yeah, of course, the journey of the course, I'm just going to go through it very, very briefly to kind of orient everyone as to, what the field is around, what's happening in the field around right now, and, how the course has been shaped up, and, what can you expect, and then you can sort of direct whatever questions you have, and we can take it from there. Feel free to ask questions around the field. Feel free to ask questions about the course. I don't want this is not like a marketing call for the course. It's really like an advocacy call for the field. I'd rather that whatever it is that you feel like you need to get answered, if you're interested in this field, that you feel free to ask those questions. Yeah. So having said all of that, let's start with the course. The course, like Vidhisha said, it came together as a collaboration between 3 institutions. These 3 institutions, all 3 of them are very interested in promoting ethical, sound, solid pedagogies and education around arts therapies. And so there's also a music therapy course that St. Mira's. Right. That's okay, Shafali, don't worry. So there's so that was happening, and then of course Artsphere being Artsphere, and they brought us on board. The collaboration is actually between the university and Artsphere, and TATC is an academic consultant on the course. What that means is that we're the people who bring the content. We are the people who bring the qualified faculty who's able to teach that content. We design it. in conjunction with the rules and responsibilities that the university gives to us. So they give us a sort of structure, and then we kind of put the content within that structure. So it makes sense. The course is designed in a way which is 800 hours of a course, and in that, around 650 hours is tuition, which is contact hours with your teachers. 100 hours is basically your internship, which we will, of course, guide you in doing and all of that. And 30 hours is supervision, and then some academic hours of your assignments, etc. The reason I'm telling you the design is because it's really important for you to consider that this is a professional orientation alongside the course. It's not an academic course, so to speak. As much as there is a huge concentration in academia, because you're, of course, going through the rigor of a university diploma, but it is a course that is designed to graduate professionals in the way that immediately after this, most of the people who've done this course, including Vidisha, you're able to sort of graduate, get jobs. Some of them we employ ourselves, but also you're able to get jobs outside. You're able to mark a place in your internships itself. We provide you personal sort of guidance and supervision in a way that you're able to design a career out of this. And it's not a one course I did at one point. We did that because we realized that the more practitioners there are in the country, the more we are also helped. Like, we need a critical mass to be able to talk to government, to be able to talk to the media, to be able to really create this field in an ethical and sound way in the country. So we're graduating professionals in the field. However, if there are people who are doing this as an academic inquiry, and they would rather sort of do this and put this in conjunction with their already existing professions, then we welcome that as well. So that journey begins for you once the academic inquiry is over in 650 hours, and you kind of go on to do your internship. You can then tell your supervisor what is it that you're interested in doing and sort of bring it from there. So that's about the course. The course has now been running for 5 years. This is 5th year running, and we've been graduating some wonderful people, and they've been doing some wonderful work. The scope of work in this country has increased a lot. The first batch was only like invited to schools and like some of these, places that are okay to experiment. But now we've got a wide variety of practitioners who are working in settings like prison, settings like rehab, settings. They're opening up their own sort of like labels and working under that. The only limitation to this course, the scope of the course, is that it is a diploma. It does not allow you to do clinical work. However, if you have a degree that is in psychology or something else which allows you to do clinical work, then this course can be done alongside that, and then you can work in clinical spaces. But by itself, the course being a diploma cannot equip you to do clinical work. Clinical work basically means anything to do with special needs populations. Yeah. So that's the only limitation of the course. Otherwise, individual work you can do after this, group work you can do after this, and yeah, you can do all kinds of work in therapeutic movement, transformation therapy, whatever it is, that trauma-informed work, queer affirmative work. We train you in psychological first aid, the whole host of trainings that's there. Yeah. Okay. So that's enough download from me. And I see the faces. Shall I see it? It is a very well-rounded course. So it does take you through a rigor. But it is possible to do it alongside a career because it's designed in a way so that you have scope and time to do whatever it is. So most of our students, in fact, are people who are working alongside. That's why it's hybrid, and that's why you're able to manage a career and this. The one non-negotiable is the contact hours. The contact hours have to be attended. Otherwise, the university feels like they're sort of graduating you to work with vulnerable people. And it won't be fair for people who haven't gone through a rigor to then be to let them work with vulnerable people with a qualification. So the contact hours are non-negotiable. But everything else we talk about, we design you according to what you need. All right. So I think I'll pause here and let's get some questions in, and then we'll carry on from there. Feel free to unmute, feel free to type it out, and I'll take up questions.
So I'll kick it off. So you mentioned that this is the diploma and all that. So what is there like a prerequisite that you need for getting starting this course? Like, do you need any kind of psychology degree or credits to go for it?
So it requires a graduation. Now, why it requires a graduation is because the course employs a method of study, and we just want the student to be able to have a small background in the way of studying in a college, right? So it does require, it's a PG diploma. If you have a graduation in any subject, it doesn't matter what the subject is. If you don't have any formal training in psychology whatsoever, then we offer something called a pre-psych course, which is ongoing right now, Vidisha. Yeah, which is ongoing right now, and Shola's in it. So the pre-psych course is something that's supposed to equip you in a way so that when you come into the group, we'll have a wide variety of people. We'll have people who have done their masters, we'll have people who have done their PhDs, some people have been practicing, some people have no clue about psychology formally, but it kind of brings everyone together. This one is a dentist still. Yeah, is. And she did the pre-psych course to get into the field. And yeah, I mean, what would you say about the pre-psych course, Vidisha? Could you introduce that a little bit?
Yeah, so the pre-psych course I think has been beautifully planned to, like Anshuma said, to equip you enough to get you a sense of what psychology is. And it also, in a way, covers a lot of stuff that would be used in DMT as well. So it gives you the basics of psychology on a whole point of view, including some of the introduction to clinical knowledge as well. So I think, like, in fact, just today, the batch that is currently doing pre-psych has been introduced to the DSM, which is, an entire manual of, clinical stuff that is happening. So it's just planned in a way wherein, like I said, again, you will just get your basics of psych correct, and the right information will come to you, and you will also get a consolidated information of what you will use in DMT. So a lot of psych theories that are used in DMT, a lot of words, a lot of, again, theories, etc., that will be used in DMT is taught to you in pre-psych. So you don't go into the DMT course completely blank. You will know. Plus, you will have access to the reading material when DMT happens as well. So you can always go and revisit the material. The teachers are constantly helping you to add on to more material if you require, to self-read as well. So that's how the course works and consolidates it entirely.
And if you've missed it this year, if you haven't enrolled in the pre-psych yet, that's okay. What we do is that we send you all the material, including the classes and everything, so that you refresh yourself before coming in. Because I understand that a lot of people graduate now. So that it's hard to kind of like immediately fall into another program. So we give you that material, but nothing replaces the classes. I'm going to be super honest. It would have been better for you to be enrolled, but if you haven't been enrolled, that's not a problem. It's something that the teachers are still the same teachers who will also teach you in DMT. So you can always equip yourself and you can always ask your questions still. Yes, Shola.
So when I started to be interested in this, I had an idea of something much more easy, light, different. And the more I'm in, the more I understand the depth of this work, and I'm very happy to do that. My concern that I already shared with Vidisha, it's that I have a full-time job and full-time is, I work on my own studio by myself, so I can manage hours, but still I need time to do my work, and so I already know that maybe I will not be so much able to do all the homework or study, or so I'm a bit concerned about that. And also, when I started, I'm not really looking for a job, more to understand better certain dynamics, connect to movement and dance. So I'm just trying to justify myself because I'm a bit afraid that I will not be able to follow everything.
Yeah, and so this is the thing, right? There's a scope of the course. There's the full scope of the course, that if you do everything, at the end of the day, you graduate with this degree that enables you to work with others. But then it's also a course that you can do to the scope that you're okay with, right? You get to design whatever scope it is for you. Now, what is if the degree, for example, there are people, I don't necessarily encourage this, but there are people who do the course, but they're not interested in the degree of it. So there's an encouragement in the course, but if you don't want the degree, if you're doing this as a sort of like a self-exploration or an exploration of sorts for getting to understand more of the dynamics for something else. Like there's one person who's not going to be graduating this year. She's a fantastic practitioner. She should, but she isn't, which is okay. But what she's done is she's kind of done this course to organize her thoughts around how she can be a better fitness instructor, a better Pilates instructor, right? And so that's the scope of the course. By the end of the course, you can decide that, right? I would encourage you not to decide it right away, because sometimes people just fall in love with the modality and then they want to follow through. But if you feel like it gets too rigorous and you would rather not, and you've understood the portion that you need to, fine, it's a professional course. We're all adult learners. We don't engage with learners who are younger than 18 or younger than graduates. So it's really up to you what you want to do. Whether with the time, Shola, Friday evening, Monday evening, Saturday, Sunday, those are your class timings. But there's also like every 3 weeks, there's 1 weekend off. And then there are 2 months that are entirely off. So there are ways in which you will be able to organize time. I don't think that should be a problem, honestly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we've got some questions on the chat I'm seeing. So hello, ma'am. I just wanted to know, like, I'll be pursuing my master's in psychology this year. So entrance is in September, regular postgraduate course. Can it be possible? So Tiara, can you tell me a little bit about when you're saying regular postgrad course, it's a clinical psychology course?
No, ma'am, it's counseling.
Counseling. And are you doing it from Pune?
Ma'am, currently, like, I have applied in DU and that CUCT that has been gonna happen in September, and I have applied in SNDT as well.
Okay. So we had people last year who were doing it from Christ and from Ambedkar, and they were able to manage. Yeah. So I'm giving you that there is precedent in which people have run both the courses together. It's not impossible because our classes happen on the weekends, and our course, like the modules, however, you'll have to attend. So you'll have to see that the modules, and Vidisha would have given you dates in the handbook. Just see that they don't coincide with any exams or anything like that. If that's not happening, then you should be fine.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, but Chaitanya asking if we require professional training in dance for this course. So, I mean, it helps. Just like professional training in psychology helps, it definitely helps if you've got a relationship with your body, which is being honed, but it also hurts. We've had a lot of people who came with a lot of idea around dance, but it's not dance really, right? It's more movement, it's expression. So we had to work with them to make sure that they actually had to let go of the idea, unlearn some of the aesthetics of dancing so they can really connect with their bodies. So it's not necessarily necessary at all. But if you have it, yeah, for sure. I mean, we welcome any kind of plus. And we will use that also. So we, for example, if there's people in the class who have a psych training, we make them the research guides saying, come on, help everybody else also into, learning the language, doing the research. So it's a very collaborative course. So if you have any extra training, we welcome that. Share the accommodation details. Vidisha, can I defer this one to you?
Yeah, hi Shreya. So accommodation details, we have a list that is we've compiled, which is around the course where the course is being conducted in that area. And Atul Bhaiya is also here, which he has access to that list as well. And once you've decided or you would like to know now, we can share that with you. We can help you get in touch with maybe other students as well who are looking for accommodation. So when y'all come in, then as students, you can stay together or manage that as well. So that can be sorted for sure.
Usually what's happened is that people have taken up an apartment share, and they've taken up an apartment for like those 10-15 days, and then they shared it. But there are accommodations around which you can also book, which are, we have access because you're doing the course, you'll get it for a certain price. Somebody was saying something. Shreya, were you saying something?
Like someone else said.
I was asking something.
Go on, Shivali.
So first thing is, okay, the module which we have to do on site. What if there is some big emergency and we cannot attend for a day or two by chance? It will not change my life, right? It will be
It will not change
manageable.
your life, but you'll have to just give us an email, a professional, professional email, an official email that we can tell to the university that these are the reasons why these hours are not done. Now, if that's an extended period of time, for example, you fall sick, unfortunately, that's happened a lot in the last 2 years, right?
Okay.
So if that happens, then you might be asked to sit in for some hours for the next batch to complete your hours.
Okay.
While you'll still graduate with this batch, but if the major chunk of hours is missing, then you may be asked to repeat a semester later.
Okay. And what is the nature of the internship? Like, in which months are we expecting the internship to happen? What is the concentration of days that are required to get done with it?
Yeah, so it's 100-hour contact hour with the client, right?
Okay.
So that means that, for example, if you're working with one group for 15 hours, you need around 4 or 5 such groups, and 20 hours is your observation. So 20-hour observation is basically you go observe other people who are doing work, observe workshops, participate in workshops, get to see what different practitioners are doing around the country, around the world. So that's 20 hours. And then 80 hours is your contact hours where you conduct. You can co-facilitate that with someone, like you make a friend in the course, you're in the same location, you guys can go together and co-facilitate. Or you could do it in your own organization, wherever you're currently working or you're studying somewhere, you can do it there. Or you could, we encourage that you go out and find the population you're interested in working in, and then find and apply there. Your supervisors will help you. And therefore, you can sort of get a few number of people together and do that. So that is February, it starts. February after second
Feb end.
Feb end. Feb end it starts. So your March is off.
Okay.
Most of March is off. So that you can finish your first bit. Then you have classes in March, April. You can do your internships during that time also, if you're finishing your hours. And then again, you get May off.
Yeah.
May off again to do your internship. And then you, ultimately for everything, your internship and this and that, everything, the deadline is somewhere in September. So from February to September, you just have to finish your hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned around the world. So what does it mean? There are this is happening in all the countries. So we are aligned to a certain I don't know how to say style.
Sure, you'll be aligned to a certain style, but in the observation, we encourage you to go and see what else is out there. You know, how are other people also practicing? So you observe it. And if you feel like it's something you like, you want to adapt it, you know, you can always ask the help of your supervisor to adapt. Yeah. Students
Also,
outside, sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was just adding to that is that around the world, I think now it's become, even the course itself has made a conscious decision, I think, wherein they give you a lot of like different cultural contexts, because especially ever since online work has been happening, you can actually approach organizations that are probably in Canada or in the US or in Singapore or anywhere across, in Africa, anywhere. So the course anyways already has this, you know, where they teach you different cultural contexts. So that kind of helps. And I think the internship is the best place to learn that also, because you'll do something, you'll make a mistake. Probably the culture that they belong to don't accept the style that you're taking in, but you've actually learned from it. And they will teach you something back, which you will take note of, take it to your supervisor and be like, okay, I learned this in class, but it didn't work with that group because that group just made a face at me and told me I was, being weird. And then your supervisor will again help you to be like, okay, cultural context, right? So then how do you adapt that? So all of that comes as part of learning as well.
The 5 rhythm is different, similar, on the same page of what we are going to do?
So we are going to learn all kinds of work in DMT. There are people who are going to come and talk to you about Buddhism, chakra system. There are also people who are going to talk to you, but the main ideology of the course is psychodynamic work, which is Jungian work, right? So that's a main ideology. But adaptation of the work has happened all over the world. So there's something called trauma-informed yoga. So we've got a specialist who's going to come and take a one-day class with you to tell you how this person has adapted that. There's Buddhism and this. There's also social justice system. So we've got someone who's going to come into you and say, how do you work with populations that don't have privilege? And how do you work and advocate for populations that don't have privilege? So there's a particular module for 1 or 2 days, you'll get exposed to all kinds of work. And then you choose what is the style, what is the population, where are you orienting, what did you find most interesting? And that's where we start sort of orienting you and your internship process and your supervision process. Yeah. Have students outside India pursued this course? Yes, many. And we've got a thriving community of people who are doing this work across the world. In fact, right now before logging in here, I'm supervising the student who's working in Namibia. And she's done some wonderful work there today with the teachers in the school systems of Namibia. And they brought their culture, and she was working from an Indian standpoint. It was quite a wonderful collaboration. We've got students in France, in Norway, in America. We had someone who's done America, and we had Mauritius. Yeah.
How do you work with the contact hours with students outside of
They'll
India?
have to fly down for the on-site modules, so they've had to do that, and it was tough during COVID, but some of them managed. Right now, I think the government regulations have changed, so I'm not sure if we're getting people who are not living in India anymore to apply for the course, right, Vidisha?
Nothing really. Like, I think that's the individual, when they're applying, they kind of gauge that first, because the brochure states that you have to make the contact hours. So they kind of gauge that. We did have 2 admissions. One of them was in the US, and she clearly, then after she applied, she realized that her visa wasn't going through. Yeah. So then she had to back out.
Visa issues is the main problem right now, no?
Yeah. Whereas the other girl had her visa already. She, in fact, has an Indian passport, luckily. She just stays abroad. So for her, coming in is not the issue. So she was fine.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a way you can, I live in the US. So is there a way you can facilitate the contact hours with an organization based out of here?
When you're
because
done,
I have a visa issue too.
Yeah, no, we're talking about contact hours between us and you. So
Yeah.
you have to come here for the on-site. If you're here for the on-site, the internship you can do entirely in the US.
And the contact hours, is there, would you be able to facilitate with some organization based out of here?
Oh, the contact hours, no, yeah. It'll have to be done because we're training you in like group dynamics. So you have to be part of the group to be able to be trained in that. Sure, and it's a lot of very reflective activities, right? So personal reflections and all of that. It becomes very unsafe for us to do that from here to there. You have to be able to contain that in this space. Yeah.
Sure.
Try and make it known.
I wish. Yeah.
It's twice or thrice? Thrice.
3 times. 3 on-sites.
Yeah, thrice. It keeps changing with COVID changing, but this time I think we're finally with 3. Okay, Manisha is asking similar questions. Shola, working women usually have long and busy work schedule on weekdays. Very much interested in getting degree in DMT, reading or consuming information since 2020. Man, Manisha, do it already. Not sure if I'll be able to complete the degree successfully. Possible to have different sessions for people like me interested who have professional responsibilities. So a lot of people in the same plate, Manisha. What we do is they do a staggered graduation. So for example, you attend the classes this year, but you want to do your internship next year. Or you do the classes this year, but you want to write your papers next year. So you can take a component that you're not able to finish this year because of whatever work responsibilities you have. And we facilitate a separate process for you of supervision so that you can do that in your own time. And you can graduate still as a 23 graduate, but you will just be doing it with another batch. Yeah. All right. Does that answer your question, Manisha?
Yes, thank you.
You're most welcome. In fact, a lot of my supervisees, yesterday only they told me, ma'am, we're graduating later. It's getting like too busy in life. So now we'll be writing our reports and submitting in January and graduating in March. I was like, okay, fine.
Great. Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Is this course different from a master's in DMT? Chaitanya, first of all, it's in India. So there's that. The other scope of difference is just that it doesn't allow you clinical work. So that is the only scope difference. Otherwise, it prepares you in everything. What we're hoping to develop in the country is that there'll be a master's in DMT, in which case then all your diploma hours can be aligned with that, and then you only will have to do 1 more year and you'll get a master's degree also. So hopefully when the course develops in a way, this will be considered your first year of your master's, basically, because a master's is 2,000 hour course. So that's a very different commitment altogether. Yeah, minimum 2,000 hours is considered a master's. A very different commitment. And over there, you have to do a 600-hour internship. It's a research and thesis looks very different. So I don't think the country right now is honestly ready for that kind of seriousness of the profession. So we've introduced the diploma. We will be building towards a master's. There's a national commission coming up of allied health professionals. Through our work in IADMT, we've gotten movement therapists recognized as a serious profession in the country, which has been a huge win. But they will now be coming up with a course that we will then, sort of align ourselves with. We're not doing anything until they come up with the guidelines because we want to do it ethically and properly. Yeah. What are the requirements or expectations of the 36-hour personal therapy work? So where personal therapy work essentially is supposed to be designed as a support system for you. We do end up going through a lot of personal reflection, and we do end up going through a lot of internal sort of reflective. Sure, Chaitanya, no problem. We end up going through a lot of internal reflexive processes. All of this is done so that you kind of go through the process yourself to understand, oh, this is my reflexive, response to things like this. And this is why I need to, hone my skills, or this is where I need to work on myself to be able to be an effective practitioner. But while you're going through that, we're not able to really support you as a course because there's a different intention of the course, which is education. The intention of the course is not to self-grow. If that's happening as a product, brilliant. But the intention of the course is that. So the support system, the containment is that you have a certain rigor of personal work that's going on the side. So you're always able to reflect in that personal space. Number one. Number two, being a client is the only way we can empathize with our clients. It'll be very hard to empathize if you have never been on the other side. But even if you have, during this time, the stuff that comes out from a very body perspective, which is very different from when we are going through talk therapy. So how do we regulate that, and how do we reflect on that is not the same as your prior experiences of therapy perhaps might have been. Having said all of this, If at the end of the day, your therapist, your support system ends up having less hours or ends up not finishing that, or your therapist signs off on something saying, look, we were able to do this much, but she'll do these many more with me. I am confident, like things are fine. You're not having upheavals, you're contained. We're fine with working with that. Yeah. Bhairavi, I can't even see your name. Okay. Super.
Can I ask?
Sure.
Okay, so how easy will it be to sustain myself in the initial period after doing this course? Like मुझे क्या 2-3 मतलब क्योंकि मुझे पता ही नहीं है कि कैसा टाइप का जॉब मिलेगा, क्या होगा, कहाँ काम करते हैं, अभी तो बहुत ही. So how are the prospects of sustaining oneself when one is new in the field and emerging? Do we start with working with organizations first and slowly develop our own practice? Like how has it been for people who have done it before us?
See, from our end, we organize something like career fairs. We introduce you to a lot of practitioners across the country who are doing this work. We encourage you to have develop local relationships with your local NGOs, local hospitals, local whatever you need to work with. And your supervisors there, they will write to them and we'll put our reputation in the line saying, credible bacha hai, kaam karke aaya hai, just take them. It's gonna be fine. So we give all of that support system. And people have developed careers out of this. We encourage an organization before starting private practice for obvious reasons, just the rigor of work in a support system that you can get introduced to. You won't be able to do that yourself. What we really encourage is supervision. Supervision is the way you develop a career here. Your supervisor and you sit down and you say, okay, these are populations. In this population, for working with them, these are my prerequisites. These are the organizations. How do I write to them? What is my cover letter supposed to look like? Blah, 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 blah. So eventually the plan is to make a career out of this. That's our intention. If you tell us otherwise, that's okay. But otherwise, our whole hamari gaadi to usi ja rahi hai, that we are going to help you make a career. Now, within that, we also have a huge network of organizations. We give them a list, no, Vidisha, when the internships are starting.
Yeah, we also get them in touch with students from the previous batches. So they can always reach out to the students, the previous batches, and then ask them as well. Because a lot of people, like if they have started their own practice, maybe you want to observe with them, work with them, and that's a possibility as well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll do a small movement, breathing thing, and then we'll close. So if any other questions, like I said, you can ask me about DMT also. It's not just about the course. I'm happy to answer anything if you're just curious about the field.
Last question.
Go for it.
How much is the study material for this thing? Matlab, you guys will send us the readings regularly and
see, we do all that, but we'll send you one book. You can read one chapter. It's one of those things, right? There are 2 exams, the university exams. The exams, one psych theory exam, one DMT theory exam. In the exam syllabus is only 10 subjects each, 10 topics.
Okay.
For those 10 topics, we give you material. So it's a very limited sort of a scope of the exam. But other than that, we give you lots of readings. And once again, when you're in the supervision process, so suppose you're working with adolescents, your supervisor will give you reading in the particular context, etc. So its readings also start becoming about you and your work.
All right.
Sorted. Okay. Anyone else? Gunjan, Spriha, anyone I haven't heard from? Any curiosity you're holding? Feel free. No? All right. So besides this, there's a lot of work going on in the field. The course is, of course, a great entry point. But in fact, recently I came back from a huge meeting with some government media agencies around DMT. So the field is an ever-growing field. You're entering at a time when it is pioneered almost. We're at that point of being pioneered. So you're entering at in a place where it's obviously, there's enough going on to make a career out of things. You're not right at the beginning where there was nothing and no one. But at the same time, you have a support system, you have a community that's willing to welcome you, right? So you've got stuff to do, and whatever you do adds to that community, adds to that body of work that's already happening. So that's why we in the course encourage research. We encourage you to find your own internships, because it's useful for you to add to the community as well. That's how much you'll get back, right? But IDNT is there, of course, TATC is there. There's all kinds of work happening. Look it up, the kind of work that's happening in India right now. Give yourself like some time, research a little bit about DMT, and then come along, join us. We're trying to change the world one movement at a time. What made me interested in Bhairavi? Actually, that's a very valid question. I should also say some random alien has come here to just talk about DMT. I was actually a clinical psychologist. I was working in a clinical space for 3 years. And dude, I just realized like we can't do this without the body. Like the body is just such an important seat of all our emotions from a biological standpoint, from a metaphorical standpoint, from all kinds of standpoints. It would be very unfortunate if I just left the body out of the conversation. So I'd been a dancer for a while myself, so I knew how much I used my body for self-regulation, for exploration of difficult emotions, and that it had a very different language, right? From this very conscious tuck, 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 rational, logical, blah, blah, blah kind of way of formatting my emotions. That helped, but it felt incomplete. It was when I moved, it was when I expressed, it was when I really let it happen that I felt like, okay, some things happened which I can't really articulate, but this feels okay now. It's been worked through now. So I wanted to offer that to my clients. So after 3 years of being a psychoanalytic psychotherapist, so sitting and like proper, like nothing, no saying also, and like fully like looking at the couch and looking at the back of the head of the person and just being that person, I realized, no, I can't do this for much longer. I'm missing a key part in the conversation. Went and trained myself for a while in London, University of London, and then worked there for a couple of years. Before then I said, you know what, like I was a little bit of a idealistic fool. I was like, nahi yaar, yahan to ho gaya. Like, yeah, this is easy. Like, Izzat is there and people know what I'm doing. And I want to explain myself. I want the hard stuff. I want to have to prove my existence is valid every single day of my life. So I came back to India and I decided to start up my organizations. And becoming an educator was also a conscious choice because of that. Because I really want to stop explaining now. And I want people to just know. So that's where I'm at. Thanks for asking, Bhairavi. All right. Right back at you. So shall we close this then? Vidisha, is there anything else to be said, done, spoken about? No? All good? Everybody feeling fine in their bodies? Everybody feeling like it's okay to be closed? Can we stop this annoying chatter? Woman who's been chattering for a while. All right. Thanks, Gunja. Okay, let's just take some space for our bodies and relax. Oh, yay, Bhairavi, I'm glad. I'll see some of you in class and I'm damn excited to see all of you. I hope, Josephine, you're able to make it. It'll be fun.
Sure, yes.
All right, let's
I'll be in touch.
Yeah, be in touch, please. Let's connect with ourselves. Be in touch is a good way of starting that. So maybe this just being in touch with our bodies, in our breath for a minute. Just allowing yourself to feel how you felt. If you're feeling satisfied with all the questions that have been answered, if you're feeling more confused, that's okay. We're just allowing our bodies to express and feel. Just using our breath, breathing in And seeing which part of our body feels activated by this conversation. Which part of the body? And breathe into that part of the body and just move it a little bit. And move. Maybe it's your arms, maybe it's your legs. Don't get disconnected with the lower half. Maybe it's your torso, maybe it's your chest, shoulders. Just check in with all of you and see what was the activation. And once you've activated that part of the body, find a small movement to express how you're feeling. Just a small movement that'll help you express how you're feeling today after this conversation. Small gesture, small movement. For me, it's this. I'm feeling all kinds of talked out. I don't want to talk for the next few hours. Vidisha, what are you doing? Tell us.
I'm in focus. Yeah.
Okay. Josephine, what are we doing?
I'm giving my heart. I'm feeling very heart touched. I feel like it's coming from the heart space.
Oh, thank you. Right back to you. Shifali, what are we doing? Yeah, we can hear you. Swaying. Swaying into the course, flowing into the course. All right, the rest of you I can't see, but I'm sure you're doing something soothing for yourself, something that's for you, for us. So yeah, thank you for giving your time. Thank you for the gestures. We can bring them back to our bodies. Breathing in, breathing out, relaxing ourselves. All right, wonderful. Have a great evening ahead. Gunjan's moving her toe fingers. So cute, you call them toe fingers. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting those feelings now in my toe fingers because you said it. So I'm connecting with you with my toe fingers. All right. Okay, so that brings us to the end. Thank you very much for your time. I hope this was useful and I hope to see you in class. Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.